Hello, wrestling fans, boxing fans, and everybody out there. It's me, Brian Ty. We're going to talk boxing tonight. It's about Canelo Alvarez moving up to Cruiserweight. That's right, I said Cruiserweight. He's moving up to Cruiserweight to take on the WBC Cruiserweight champion. There's a lot of criticism on Canelo for the move to Cruiserweight. There's a lot of criticism because, as we all know, Canelo Alvarez is a champion at 168. He's been called out by Demetrius Andre. Plenty of times. Talks about a rematch with Caleb Plant has been discussed. But he leaps over the light heavyweight division, which also has good opponents, possible opponents for Canelo Alvarez, and goes straight up to Cruiserweight. So let's talk about it. There's a lot of criticism on Canelo for a couple of reasons. One, not wanting to fight Demetrius Andre. Two, always saying that Demetrius Andrade, he won his championship by fighting nobody. Told him to get the F out of here because you haven't fought nobody. You won that belt beating nobody. But the cruiserweight champion that he set to meet is pretty much an unknown champion. So Canelo Alvarez is setting himself up for a lot of criticism. Because he's taken on a cruiserweight champion that not too many people know of. Why not fight Demetrius Andre? Tony Harrison is at 154 pounds. So from 154 to 168 is not that much. Canelo had fought at 160, 154, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of opponents that would have made sense. Like even in the cruiserweight division, there's a guy in there. I think his name is Bradis. He only had one loss, I believe, and why are you fighting the WBC champ and nobody really knows who the guy is? I believe the reason why Canelo is moving up to Cruiserweight is because he knows that there's some big names out there, some decent names like Marco Huck, Bradis, and like there's some names out there, but there's nobody that can really threaten Canelo Alvarez, at least he feels, at Cruiserweight. That's why he jumped over the light heavyweight division and skipped certain opponents at 168 and going straight up to Cruiserweight, because he believes that the WBC Cruiserweight champion would be easy pickings. The Cruiserweight division in boxing has always been an exciting division. And there's been some players in that division. The first cruiserweight fight that I ever seen, James Toney and Vasily Girov. And that fight was awesome from bell to bell. Vasily Girov bought it. James Toney bought it. James Toney comes away with the IBF Cruiserweight title. And then after that, I saw O'Neal Bell and Dale Brown. And that fight was awesome. O'Neal Bell and Sebastian Ruthman. That matchup was awesome. Krzysztof Wlodarczyk and Steve Cunningham for the IBF title, which Steve Cunningham won twice. Those fights were awesome. Of course, Tony Bellew, Enzo Maccarinelli, Wayne Braithwaite, who fought Guillermo Jones. Guillermo Jones had a hell of a overhand right. That overhand right can move a tank. Wayne Braithwaite, he was a southpaw, but he had a good right hand. He was a left-handed fighter, but he had a good right hand. He won several fights with that right hand. Of course, David Haye was a unified cruiserweight champion. He actually defeated Enzo Maccarinelli for the unified cruiserweight titles. There's a lot of exciting fights in the cruiserweight division. A lot of exciting boxing matches that can happen in the cruiserweight division. The Super 6, which was won by now Alexander Usyk. Alexander Usyk won the Super 6, the cruiserweight division, and that had some awesome matchups, fan-friendly matchups. You know, if you were a purist boxing fan such as myself, you would love those fights. James Toney, Vasily Girov, Enzo Maccarinelli, Jean-Marc Mormec, and O'Neal Bell, rest in peace. Those guys were the cream of the crop of the cruiserweight division. Wayne Braithwaite, he retired, but cream of the crop of the cruiserweight division in boxing. It's not there anymore. We're looking for the new cream of the crop in the cruiserweight division. And I do believe that the cruiserweight division is a very exciting division. If you don't believe me, go back and watch the James Toney Vasily Girov fight. Go back and watch Wayne Braithwaite and O'Neal Bell. Go back and watch O'Neal Bell and Jean-Marc Mormec and Guillermo Jones against Wayne Braithwaite. Go watch those fights and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I think it's a shame that the cruiserweight division is not talked about on television. I think it's unfair that it's not promoted right, and it's not seen on TV and it's not promoted. If it's on a pay-per-view card, it's always on the undercard where nobody can see it. So I think the cruiserweight division in boxing is the lost division in boxing, only because it's there and people know it's there and it's an exciting division, but that division needs to be promoted more. It needs to be seen on TV more. That way we can establish stars in the cruiserweight division. You know, James Toney, Antonio Tarver, two guys that moved up to cruiserweight, and they said that they would unify the cruiserweight division before moving up. Both men had one belt apiece. James Toney had a Fight of the Year candidate with Vasily Girov. Antonio Tarver won the IBO belt from Danny Green. But both men went straight up to heavyweight right after. There was no unification. There was only two people that said they were going to unify the Cruiserweight division, then move up. That being Alexander Usyk and Evander Holyfield before him. So, I do think it's kind of weird that Canelo Alvarez is moving up to Cruiserweight and skipping over the light heavyweight division and skipping over some of the great fights that he could have at 168. But to each their own. But I will say this, like I said before, the Cruiserweight division in boxing is very exciting, very much fun to watch. If you were able to watch the Super 6 Cruiserweight division, the Cruiserweight Super 6, you guys know what I'm talking about. If you saw the James Toney fight with Vasily Girov, you know what I'm talking about. If you saw Big Truck Wayne Braithwaite and O'Neal Bell and all those guys, you know what I'm talking about. I think it's very, very strange for Canelo to just skip over a weight class and go straight for Cruiserweight when he hasn't even tested the water at light heavyweight. But he's going after a 5th division championship. To each his own. I would have stopped off at light heavyweight first. But Canelo's Canelo. Let's talk about Dillon White. Dillon White is a very promising fighter that has not gotten his just due. And I like to say thank you to Tyson Fury for saying he would fight the Dillon White fight next. He would give Dillon White a shot, regardless of what the WBC says. Because the WBC, I believe, denied him his mandatory shot. But Tyson Fury said, I'll give him one anyway. And so hopefully that'll happen for him. That man, in all honesty, he's been jerked around enough. Dillon White deserves his shot. Regardless of the WBC, he deserves his shot. And I want to say to Tyson Fury, thank you for noticing that. Give us boxing fans something to watch that's exciting. That's what we want as boxing fans. But we also want things to be fair. This man has been a mandatory for. This guy's been an interim champ, mandatory challenger since Deontay Wilder was champ and didn't get a shot. So Dillon White deserves this shot. He deserves his chance at the championship. It's way overdue. Way overdue. And it's way overdue. Way overdue. And we'll see what happens. Also, Luis King Kong Ortiz, has agreed to fight Charles Martin, Prince Charles Martin. I walk this earth like a god, Charles Martin. And hopefully that fight will come off because I think it'll be a great fight. In my own opinion, I think Luis Ortiz, he's been waiting for an opportunity like this. He's been waiting for his chance. And he's not going to let it slide. He's not going to let it slide. So, We'll see what happens. I hope this fight does come off, and we'll see what happens. Wrestling and boxing forever. I'm out. Ride time.